in the distance, and I'm talking like a quarter mile away perhaps, you hear more like rumbling of movement. And it sounds like a lot of rumbling. Not like the centaur pack, like more and bigger.
I can see clearly up to a mile away.
Yes.
Do I see anything in that direction?
If you were in high ground, you could.
Okay.
The problem is that you guys are, so you're in the little valley that runs between the mountains in the west, the big forest in the east. So if you go to high ground, either climbing a tree or a level up onto the mountain, you might be able to see, it's coming from the same direction as the centaurs. It's coming from the north towards you guys. It's the same direction as the ogres and the centaurs.
All right.
Woods.
Is that the woods?
Yeah.
That's the woods.
Woods.
That's a tree, Ahkum.
Yeah,
You guys start heading east through the valley towards the ancient forest. And you get closer. You're moving at a rapid pace, and you hear those sounds behind you. Not directly behind you, but still from the north, but they're definitely heading through the valley. You guys get to the edge of the forest. And at first there's a few kind of sparse, smaller trees, and then it's almost like a wall of ancient, like 100, 200 foot tall trees. You both climb up like one of the tallest trees along the edge. You get to the top, and you're like, in these top branches, you're a good 150 feet in the air. Your range of seeing is what now?
I can see clearly up to a mile away.
Good Lord. All right.
I can discern details over 100 feet away.
Okay, and what is this called?
Can you tell what was making the noise earlier? Can you tell?
So you binocular-eyed into the valley, and you see at least 100 ogres, as armored and armed as what you guys fought. Mixed amidst the army of ogres, there are at least a dozen hill giants. They are not even running, they're just jogging. But their size is, this many of them, it's literally like you can, like the earth's slight tremors, and like you see this dust cloud coming up behind them. You see a group of them stop. And you see why they stop. They stop at the bodies of the ogres. And you see them like stop, the other ones kind of go around, almost like this stream passing by them. And then you see them kind of crouching down and looking around. They seem to be like investigating the site of your combat.
What are they doing?
Lots of ogres, probably over 100.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of ogres.
That's more than fingers.
Yeah, it's a lot more than fingers. And then they're kind of like looking at the dead things.
That's a lot more.
It's a lot more than fingers.
You see 12 of them now moving east, and they're looking at the ground, like kind of crouching over.
East is in the direction we went?
Yep. And you see them point when they're, and you see like they're like, and then they start looking as if perhaps they're following something.
They're following us.
You got climbing tools?
100 ogres are following us.
No, just 12. I'm assuming, Ahkum, that you have relayed this through the message.
I have.
So, Lark, you get this message that they're scouting your tracks and that they're all coming this way.
I'm ready.
As you guys are standing there, you hear a twig snap behind you. And when you turn to look, you see a older, like kind of like grayish, silvery-haired woman with like long kind of gray silver hair, wearing like just very plain kind of like brown and green sort of peasant clothing. And she's like a Chamenos, she's a human. And you see she's like standing about 20 feet away from you and looking at you. And she says, "You'll never outrun them, you know that. I can help you."
I don't trust like that. Insight check.
You do not see any armor or weapons on her. She does have like a walking
I'm
stick.
50 feet above them. Do I see this?
Yes.
All right.
You see a silver-haired, older-looking woman, and she says, "If you want, I can help you. They won't find you if you come with me. They'll never find my hut. It's deep in the forest and high in the trees.
Are you a witch? I've met witches. They're
She
pretty
looks
nice.
up and she's like,
Hi.
I am not a witch.
Oh, that's
I am a
shame.
druid.
Oh, awesome. Florian, I'm Florian. Nice to meet you.
We should probably be going.
I'm just gonna try to get down from the tree to join the rest of the party. Would it be possible for me to like, instead of trying to climb down, just like get my claws out and just slide down?
Yeah, sure.
From the 50 foot I'm at, I just jump off and slow
Now
fall.
you've marked the tree.
Okay.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
So she's looking at the four of you and she says, there's not much time.
Yeah, lead the way.
Hurry up.
We're waiting on you, lady.
Follow. Come to this side. And you see she gestures to the ground and the earth begins moving to form like this large kind of berm. It's like an excavation and it becomes a trench, but the trenched earth becomes like a berm, and it's this like wall of dirt and mud. And she points into the forest and she goes, that way to my hut. And she continues moving the earth to kind of shape this wall. And she's backing away with you guys into the forest, but she's like looking at this and like aiming her hands and moving the earth.
If I don't
We're
mind
following.
real quickly just asking, why are you helping us?
You seem as if you would be attacked already, judging by your wounds. The ogres will not give mercy. They will not take prisoners. They are going to war. Can't you
I
tell?
know what ogres are, I know what they do, but why are you choosing to help us?
Because you seem goodly, are you not? Should I not
Yeah.
trust you?
We're good. We're very
We're
good.
fine, yeah.
We're fine.
I won't say I've done anything
She
particularly
says-
great.
Stand close together and come with me. And she casts a spell and begins walking. You guys notice that suddenly as you're walking, like, there's no sound of like leaves or twigs. She's like, stay close with me. Come. And she begins kind of like walking swiftly through the forest. And as you do, as long as you're in this kind of vicinity of her, you guys are moving like extraordinarily silently.
It's pretty comfortable. I don't. Silence is weird.
You can hear each other, but your movements don't seem to be making any noise. You glance back behind you, through the leaves and like the mulch and the twigs and underbrush. There's no trace of your movement. It's almost as if you're passing.
We've passed.
Wow.
Whoa!
She points to a huge tree. The width of this tree is easily 3 times wider than any of the other trees. And it goes up so far that you're like, where does it end? Like the canopy is beyond your sight. Actually, you can see. At least 300 feet into the air, you see a complex series of like branches that look like they've almost been woven into some kind of like floor. And there's some walls, but it's all literally part of the tree.
You are like one of the best people I've met so far. What's your name?
My name is Sibylla.
Nice to meet you, Sibylla. That's awesome.
Do you know
Come.
the big verbal guy in O'Hara?
Votano.
Yeah.
From O'Hero. Yes, it's been some time since I have seen him. I do not make my way to the cities all that often because largely everything is provided here. She looks at Vermont.
His name's
Yeah,
Vermont.
it's
That's
Vermont.
Vermont. He's well fed. Don't worry.
She looks at him and she says, Waisha tu kutasinya jua. And you see Vermont go, and he pats, like 3 times he pats you on the head. And she laughs and she says, oh, he has adopted you.
You gotta teach us that language.
She says, in your experiences, have you ever seen such a sizable army of ogres and giants? Armored and
No.
weapon.
I've never
weaponized?
seen more than 2 ogres at the same time.
Have I?
You've heard of this kind of stuff, but not in your lifetime.
Okay.
Like, it's like the stuff of legend, like, amongst your people. They talk of, like, ogre hordes. But at the same time, in none of your people's lore, had you ever specifically heard of armored, trained, and armed ogres. Like, the fact that they were marching in a column in formation like that is unlike anything that your people had ever heard. But the source which draws them together is even more disturbing.
You know it?
I am not certain, but I believe that it could be one of the 11.
Oh, that's more than on your fingers. What
That's
are
more
those?
than fingers.
Is this about the dragon?
Oh, I forgot about
Wait,
that.
what's the name of the dragon?
What do you know of the dragon?
This like fire
Let me
genasi that they're
check my
called.
Yeah,
hypothetical
little
notes.
kid.
Little fire kiddo came up and was like, Zamai, Zamai. And we had to get him translated and whatnot, but apparently Zamai is awake. And he's gonna go destroy a hero.
He might have already done that. Oh,
Ooh.
we've been gone
How many
for a
days
while.
has it been?
How many days has it been?
I can't count.
A couple?
Don't those flowers we have like wilt in a day though? So we
No, I cast
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Gentle repose.
gentle repose on them.
2, 1 day, 2.
No, it's been more than
I feel like it's been 3 or 4.
3 or 4 days.
Bounty's hard.
I agree.
She says, Zmai is awake. You received a warning of this?
All I heard was that the forest will burn, which not a big fan of that. I like forests.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Yeah.
If it is true that Zmai is awake, that is indeed one problem. You mentioned a wizard.
3.
3.
They all looked the same, and they disappeared a friend of mine, and then I pushed one of them off a cliff, and then they
What do you mean
teleported away.
disappear?
You know what
They-
Like
Exoria
pointed
is?
You know, they
Exodia.
they pointed at. Oh yeah, that's the
Her
word.
eyes
Yeah.
again go
They
wide.
pointed at him, and then he went woo, and he disappeared.
Make a history check.
All right.
You guys have backstories.
You actually know this story. You know that multiple generations ago, your people and your tribe specifically were numerous, like 1,200 of them that were nomads, and they would just basically go along the southern coast from west to east seasonally, and then they would go back, and they had like different kind of encampments. And you know this story that like 100 years ago, there was a massive invasion of these creatures from the sea who came to land, and they attacked Neurostema, they attacked like many of the tribes inland. And what was strange is that these were sea creatures who had somehow gained the ability to come to land. They were armored, they were voracious, they would eat and cut and slice anything in their way. And your people fought against them in assisting Neurostema, and eventually defeated the invasion, but not before many of your people died. And it was part of the reason why your people are not super tight with the Stratos of Ohiro is because the Stratos refused to come outside of the walls. They defended Ohiro, but they wouldn't save the people outside of the walls. And that was a great betrayal to your people. And she basically relays this to you, and it's familiar. But she seems to know about it as if it was like a thing that happened last week. And she like gives like specific details, and she even names a few of the great warrior chiefs from your tribe, like as if it was something that happened last week.
You seem very familiar.
I tried to assist your people and Neurostema. Unfortunately, I am far away and did not know about this invasion until it had taken its toll. But I did come to their assistance.
You were there.
Yes.
I see. Could you...
You asked me about your gifts,
Yes.
the bear and the eagle. You do know that it is an uncommon mixture of totems. It is for this specific reason that you are accorded a certain level of connection to the earth. The elements are strong on Chamenos. You understand this, yes? At one time, there were 5 gods. They represented the elements. They are no longer here.
What happened?
She says this rather matter-of-factly. So the only god you know of is Sinkaron, the god of death.
What happened?
Chamenos was forsaken by the gods.
Invasion?
The gods made this place a place where those who had committed great sins were sent to be punished. It is for this reason that we live in such a wild land. And the gods had forsaken Chamenos and abandoned us. The gods also sent some of the very worst who had offended them to Chamenos. The people fought. And some of those who were among the very worst were banished. But they were not returned to where they were from. You know the word that was spoken by the wizard?
Yes.
It is the sacred word of banishment. When the greatest of the abominations and evils were banished, they did not go away from Chamenos. They were put to sleep. Thus they are still here, sleeping. You understand now why there is cause for concern if there was a warning that Zamai has awoken.
Yeah.
She is the most powerful and wicked ancient red dragon who has ever plagued this planet. If she is truly awoken, more than just Ohiro and the forests will burn. This island will be scorched earth.
What can we do?
This is what I am researching. If you truly encountered a wizard who knows the secret of banishment, and that wizard does not serve one of the 11, perhaps he could be swayed to join us and banish Zamai to return the Dragon Queen to her sleep. I cannot find him myself. I am tied to the forest. It is why I could not come out into the valley to help you. I cannot leave the boundary of the ancient forest. It is the source of my power. It took a great toll on me 100 years ago to go to the coast and help your people and the people of Neurostema in their defense against the invasion. Last night I researched some very ancient lore, and it has come to my attention that perhaps there is more at play now than what I originally had conceived. Because of what you mentioned with Zamai and the prophet and the wizard, there may be more. It was a long time ago, but there was a necromancer who had discovered an alternative way to utilize the spell of banishment. The necromancer created a permanent portal, if you will, a gate, which allowed the banished to return to their home. The necromancer's intent, quite simply, was the destruction and total subjugation of many kingdoms.
That's not nice.
To use the most evil, most abominable, and most cruel that were here on Chamenos, to serve him in wars against other kingdoms, in other places. And for a time he very much succeeded. He was the last of the 11 to be banished here. He still slumbers, I hope. But there are those who seek the power that he had obtained, who may seek to repeat his very selfish and evil acts. I believe that it is important to find out who is behind this. I do not think it is one being. I think perhaps there are more than one working together.
That probably might explain why the ogres suddenly got all the
Armor and whatnot.
training.
That too.
Yes.
There were two rocks at the same time.
Why the dragons waking up?
Oh right, yeah.
This too is cause for concern. We must learn if Zamai is truly awakening, or if this was a portent, a warning of what could come.
You said that that one wizard that we saw might know something.
It is possible that the wizard you saw may in fact be the prophet. She says, the prophet, on the other hand, I know well. But I cannot go to him, nor can I speak his name.
Can he come to us?
He cannot come here. She smiles a little bit.
Like outside the forest?
Yes, but he will not cross the valley.
I have a question.
You see, the prophet is tied to the mountains, as I am tied to the forest.
That makes sense.
It is part of the ways in which Chamenos is woven.
Do you think we should try to warn Triton City Neostima, or try to get the prophet's help first?
I have thought at great length about both of these things. I wish that I knew more, but divination is not the art that I am blessed with. I think both are important. The choice will need to be yours. But if you know how to find the prophet, you are just as far from the prophet's tower in the mountains as you are from the eastern coast, where you will find Neurostema. These are potions. If you need them to swim and breathe underwater, they will aid you. But remember, as 1 hour has passed, the ability will dissipate. This is for you, Fengari.
I want her
She
now?
says, if you face a foe who wields fire, that will protect you from the flames.
Thank you.
She reaches in and pulls out this huge mirror. And then as she lifts it out, you realize it's not a mirror. It's just an extremely well-polished, huge, kite-shaped solid silver. And she walks over to you, and you notice she turns it, and you see that it looks like a shield. And it even has like rivets and a leather strap. And she walks over to you and she says, "Here, servant of Synchron, take this dragon scale. Some of the Kamina believe that Synchron is not the god of death, that he is simply the god of faith and fate. Others believe that Synchron doesn't exist." And you see her eyes kind of dart over to Winny, and then when Winny looks up, they dart back to you guys. And then she says, "I remember a time when there were 5 gods. The god of earth, god of fire, the goddess of water, the goddess of wind, and the 5th, the divinity of the void. She says, I believe that Synchron is not Synchron. I believe that Synchron is in fact Taik, the entity of the void. She says, I can say his name here. He cannot hear in the forest. But be careful with what I have told you, Winifred Birch. Make an intelligence check.
Well, it's the
What was
smartest
it?
party member.
What was it?
11.
At no point in time do you recall ever revealing your full name. That's all.
Yeah.
She says, be careful who you pray to, Winifred Birch. She walks over the shelves, and on the shelf you see a very plain-looking ring, but it looks like it's basically like wood, and it's like twisted together, like almost like a, you know, when people tie like a little, I'm gonna take these pieces of brass, except it's like wood. And she brings it over and she says, she looks at all of you and she says, who amongst you is the wisest?
+1.
3.
+3.
She says, I do
are your
not mean
stats?
who amongst you has the most wisdom.
I take it.
I mean who amongst you, if chosen by you, would you choose to speak to the prophet? Know this, if you find him, he will only grant you 3 questions. The questions
well,
must be wisely
thinking about this.
phrased.
And I have a question. I have like this old sword. It's a plot the sword he took from that adventure. Is this like anything special?
It is.
Okay.
You will have to study it and learn its secrets. Listen carefully when you study it. It may reveal secrets to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you very
actually,
much.
that's really cool. I
That
like
is cool.
these. That ring's nice. Everything's great. I hope we get to come here again. This place is really
Are we
nice.
welcome to return in the future?
Every age, the land of Chamenos spins in the wheel of fate. Oftentimes, Synchron is cruel, and people suffer. But sometimes, the peoples of this land come together and show great bravery and courage, and strength beyond what they have, to defeat those who would destroy them. I do not believe that all fates are decided. The choice will always be yours. The prophet sees things that I do not. The prophet surely believes in fate. But just because the prophet sees something does not mean it will come true. Long ago, he saw something. She looks down, a single tear falling down her cheek. She says, "It did not come true."
Well, hello, and welcome to Bill Allen World. I am Wizzy, the Wizard. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. Tune in to the next episode of whatever show you were just watching, and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that, because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.